Hey everyone, this is me Pranav P. Nair standing before you to take a class on cell adaptation, the very first chapter of pathology. So before taking my class, I have to say that my class will be completely based upon relevance because it is considered as the NCERT or the Bible for your pathology, and also I will be referring to some other review books like that is written by some Indian authors like Harsh Mohan and all before taking my class. So what I request my viewers is to see my video completely, take down the notes, and this is only required for your INI-CET, NEET PG, and also for your second professional MBBS examinations. So this is only required. This is only required for your preparation. You don't have to refer to any other textbook. Just see my video, take notes, and study that. That is only required. So basically, before entering the class, I have to discuss some more thing. Basically, this pathology. What do you mean by this pathology? You will be having this subject of pathology in your second professional MBBS examinations. You will be dealing with this subject, right? So what is pathology? So pathology, what is in your first year? In your first year, you will be all studying a subject called physiology, right? We all studied a subject called physiology. What is physiology? Physiology is a subject that deals with the normal physiological processes inside our body, right? Normal physiological process taking place inside the human being. Now, what is pathology? It is abnormal physiological condition. When abnormality develops inside the human body, we will call it as pathology. So the applied aspect of physiology or the clinical aspect of physiology is what is called by the term pathology. Now, this pathology, the base of the pathology is what? Physiology only. And why this pathology is important? Because pathology along with this pharmacology, that will be forming the basics of your general medicine. So, if you are not understanding physiology, you won't understand pathology. If you are not understanding pathology, you won't get what is general medicine. Therefore, understanding pathology, physiology is very important for your fourth year general medicine. So, let's begin this chapter. So, whenever I am teaching pathology, each concept of pathology, I will be discussing with the normal physiological process, and then only I will be starting with the pathology, and then I will be. So my class will basically be an integrated session. Why I am taking classes on integrated session is because now the NEET PG and also the INI-CET or in your next for 2023-24 batches will be appearing for next. So next also will be having integrated questions as far as we know. So we will be always studying the concepts in an integrated manner. Therefore, most of my classes, all my videos will be on an integrated manner. So here also we will be studying everything in an integrated manner. So basically I have to. Now, pathology, basically you will be having general pathology and you will be having systemic pathology. And you will be having general and systems you will be dealing. First, we will be dealing with the general pathology, and general pathology will be forming the basics of your systemic pathology. So, if you have a clear-cut concept of general pathology, then systemic pathology will be very easy for you. So, general pathology, first chapter is cell adaptation. So, we will start with this chapter of cell adaptation in detail. So, starting with my class, that is on cell adaptation, the very first concept which we have to know is what do you mean by the term cell? So, this is one term which we all will be familiar once we start our the learning of biology, even from the class 6th, right? So, we all know this term. What do you mean by cell? What do you mean by cell? Every living organism every living organism, whether it is a plant, whether it is a human, whether it is a cow, dog, pig, mice, everything is composed of basic building unit. And that basic building unit of life is called by the term cell. That basic unit of life is called by the term cell, right? So the concept of cell is the very first concept. So the second concept will be the types of cell. So types of cell is the second concept. So we all know that there are three kinds of cells. So the first concept is of what? The cell, basic building block of life. So the second concept will be of what? Types of cell. So what are the types of cell? We'll be having three types of cell. The first and the foremost one is labile cells. Labile cell. The second type of cell is called the quiescent cell, or it is also called by the term stable cell. And the last but not the least, it is called by the term terminal cell or permanent cell. It is also called terminal cell or permanent cell. So first we will be discussing on the concept of labile cells, right? So yes. So what do you mean by labile cell? This is the first concept which you have to know. So what do you mean by a labile cell? We all know that there is a concept, there is the basic building block of life. This is a cell, right? This is a cell. Now, these labile cells are those cells that will divide continuously. Throughout the life, they will be dividing, right? Throughout their life, these labile cells will be dividing. So, labile cells are those cells which are capable of division throughout the life. They are capable of division throughout their life. Now, what are the examples? So once we are saying the labile cell, we are giving the definition, then we will be giving the example. So what are the examples of labile cell? The very first example is the cells of skin. Cells of skin. So the cells of skin are an example of labile cell. So the cells of skin, we know skin is a sense organ, right? Since the skin is the largest sense organ, the skin is always under wear and tear, right? So the skin will be always under wear and tear. Therefore, the cells always has to be renewed, right? There should be a continuous renewal of cells. Therefore, the cells of the skin or the dermis has to be what? Labile cell, and they continuously divide throughout their life. The second example is about the hematopoietic stem cells. The second example is of hematopoietic stem cells, or these cells are present in where? Bone marrow. These are present in bone marrow. Hematopoietic stem cell present in bone marrow. So what is hematopoietic stem cell? These stem cells are present in bone marrow and they are capable of forming WBC, RBC and platelet. So WBC, RBC and platelet. Now we will be having the second example, that is the stable cell or quiescent cell. Stable cell or quiescent cell. So what are the stable cells or quiescent cells? So first we have to write the definition of that. Right? Definition. So here also the cells are capable of division. The cells are capable of division. But once these cells reach the adult life, when these cells reach the adult life, this is a cell, that cell will be reaching an adult stage, and then what? This is the cell before adult stage. This is the cell in the adult stage. This is in the adult stage. So, cell before adult state, cell after the adult state. So, once the cell reaches the adult state, what happens? It loses the capacity for division. It can't divide further. It loses the capacity for division. So, in adult state, it loses the capacity for division. Here it can't divide, but here it divides. Here it divides. Before adult state, the cells can divide, but after the adult state, these cells can't divide. Such kinds of cells are called stable cells. Such kinds of cells are called stable cells. But one important thing you have to notice that is, here is, even after the adult state, if there is any problem, that is, if there is any injury to the cell, the cells can divide. If there is any injury, then these cells can divide, so that it aids in healing. So what are the examples? So the examples of these kinds of cells are the cells of liver, that is hepatocytes. Hepatocyte, that is the cells of liver. The cells of the liver are capable of division. What? Division before the adult state, and after the adult state, they loses the capacity for division. But if any injury takes place, these cells of the hepatocytes or the liver cells can divide. Right? These liver cells can divide. Then the second example is cells of kidney, that is the cells in kidney, that is kidney cell. This kidney cells can also divide what? At the before adult state. Before adult state, kidney cells can divide, but after adult state, this kidney cells can't divide. So kidney cells also loses the capacity for division after adult state. But if there is any injury to this kidney cell, can they divide? Yes, they can divide. That is why they help in healing. So if a cell divides, then only, if after a cell injury, if the cell divides, then only it aids in healing. It aids in healing. So the third type of cell is the terminal cell. So what is the terminal cell? Terminal cell, they do not have the capacity of division. Terminal cell, they loses the capacity of division. They do not have the capacity of division, right? So these kind of cells are called terminal cell. They do not have the capacity of division. They loses the capacity of division. They do not have the capacity of division. They do not divide at all. That's called terminal cell. The example is the heart cell. heart cell, and also the brain cell. Heart cell and also brain cell. So these two cells are not capable of division. That is called terminal cell. So during if the one applied aspect we are having here, if in case of MI and stroke, in case of myocardial infarction and stroke, healing is not possible. Healing is not possible. Why healing is not possible? Because the heart cells and brain cells are made up of terminal cells which are not capable of division. Therefore, healing won't take place. That is the concept or the idea behind why healing is not taking place after myocardial infarction or in case of stroke. Right? These are the discussion about the types of cell, that is the labile cell, stable cell and also terminal cells. Right? Till now we have completed two concepts, that is what do you mean by a cell, and second one, what are the different types of cell. Now we will be moving on to the third concept of this chapter. From here only we are going to start the actual chapter. What the two concepts, what I have taught you previously, they are what? That is only just the essence, that is just the basics of this chapter. Now I am going to start with the main essence of this chapter. Now look here, children. Now we will be having a cell, right? This is a cell. This is a cell. Now, once the cell is under any stress, when the cell is undergoing any type of stress, what do you mean by a stress? What do you mean by the term stress? The stress is something that can be of two types. This stress can be of what? Two types. The stress can be of two types. The stress can be of physiological stress. The stress can be of physiological stress, or the stress can be of a pathological. So stress can be of a physiological type and the stress can be of a pathological type. So when the cell is under the stress, what? Under physiological stress or under pathological stress. What do you mean by our term physiological stress? What are the examples? The very first example for physiological stress is menstrual cycle, pregnancy. Right? These are some of the examples of physiological stress. That is menstrual cycle, pregnancy, pathological stress. I will be having a lot of pathological conditions, right? Myocardial infarction, stroke, all these are what? These are pathological stress. Now, physiological stress is menstrual cycle and pregnancy. Now, what do you mean by stress? Stress is some factor that is going to disrupt the normal structure and function of the cell. It is something that is going to disrupt the normal structure and function of cell. So, what do you mean by pathological stress? Pathological stress and what is physiological stress, right? Physiological stress is something that is taking place normally. As a result of the normal physiological function of body. Example, menstrual cycle, pregnancy and all. These are taking place in a female's body under the result of normal conditions only, right? So at that normal condition, what are the stress that is created upon the cell? That is physiological. Pathological, due to some diseased condition, the stress created upon the cell is called the pathological stress. So now when the cell is under some kind of stress, for example physiological stress or pathological stress, what are the things taking place? Now, so the cell, what it will do when the cell is under a stress, when you are under stress, when you are under stress, what you will do? Your body will adapt to that stress. But your body will try to adapt to that stress, right? For example, when you are under any kind of tension, or when you are kind of what? A tense moment, what you will try to do? You try to adapt to that situation, right? When we are having exam, and or what we will try to do, we try to adapt to that situation, right? Like for example, when you are having an exam, for per se, like you are going to study for 8 hours a day every day, and when you are going to have an exam, you have a lot to revise, you have a lot to study and all. So what you are going to do, you are the day before the exam, you are going to study for 18 hours or 16 hours a day, so that you get adapted to that situation, adapted to that stress, so that the next day when you go to the exam, what you can do, you know the questions, you can ace that, right? So that is what is the idea here also. You are going to adapt to that situation. Once you study for 8 hours, then you are going to increase your study time, that is for 18 hours during the time of exam, the day before the exam, so that you are going to adapt to that situation of stress, right? Similarly, our cell is also going to do the same. When the cell is under any kind of physiological or pathological stress, the cell is going to show a property called cell adaptation. The cell will be showing the property of cell adaptation. What do you mean by cell adaptation? It is going to change or modify its structure. It is going to modify its structure so that it gets accustomed to physiological and pathological stress. That is called cell adaptation. Now, even if the stress is continuing, so once the stress happens, the cell will do cell adaptation. Next, again the stress continues. Again the cell continues. What it will do? The cell will be undergoing a process of reversible cell injury. So, after cell adaptation, even though the cell will be having some kind of stress, even though the cell is under stress, the cell will be undergoing a process of reversible cell injury. And again the stress continue. Even after the reversible cell injury, the stress is going to continue. The cell will be undergoing irreversible cell injury. It will be undergoing the process of irreversible cell injury. And this irreversible cell injury, the irreversible cell injury are of two types. The irreversible cell injury are of two types. What are they? They are apoptosis and necrosis. Apoptosis and necrosis. When a normal cell is under physiological stress and pathological stress, the cell will be trying to adapt. That is called cell adaptation. It is the changes in the structure of the cell in order to get adapted or accustomed to the stress, the physiological or the pathological stress. That is called cell adaptation. Even the stress continues. The cell will be what? Undergoing a process of reversible cell injury. Even then the cell continues to have that stress. It will be undergoing irreversible cell injury, which is of two types, apoptosis and necrosis. Now this is the flowchart which you are going to prepare for your university examination. This is the ideal type of answer writing when you are going to give your answer for university, right? So you can take down this flowchart. we studied about cell, types of cell. Then the third we studied about the main essence of this chapter. What are the things taking place? A quick overview of what are the things taking place when the cell is under stress. Now I have to teach you one another important concept. That is your fourth concept. What is the fourth concept? It is point of no return. The fourth concept is point of no return. So what do you mean by point of no return? So I said to you that when the cell is under stress, what? Physiological stress or pathological stress, the cell will be undergoing some changes in the structure, in its normal structure, so that it get accustomed to that to that underlying stress, so that it will this process called cell adaptation. Then it will be undergoing irreversible cell injury even if the cell the stress continues. Then it will be undergoing the what? Even if the stress continues, after the reversible cell injury, it will be undergoing irreversible cell injury, which is of two types, that is the necrosis and apoptosis. Now, what do you mean by the concept of point of no return? Look here, children. Sorry. This is your cell, right? This is the cell in. Now I told you, this is a cell when the cell is under stress. When the cell is under stress, this can be of what? Two types, right? Physiological and pathological, right? Physiological stress or the pathological stress. Now, what this cell will be going to do? What the cell will be going? Cell will be having a adaptation. This is called cell adaptation. This is called cell adaptation. Sorry, the size should be same. Size should be same. Or size should be same or it can be different. We will study. Right. It will be cell adaptation. Now what it will do? Now there will be what? Reverse, even if the stress continues. Stress. Here also stress. Stress is continuing, right? It will be reversible cell injury. Reversible cell injury. Now, then again the stress continue. Again the stress continue. There will be irreversible cell injury. Right? So what do you mean by point of no return? This is a very important concept, children. Look here. When the stress continue, this point of no return is a concept which we will be saying in this part, right? That is, when the cell is under stress, it undergoes cell adaptation. Even if the stress continues, we will say that it is reversible cell injury. Now, stress continue. This part I am drawing. After the cell adaptation, the stress continue. It will undergo reversible cell injury. Right? Reversible cell injury. But the stress continue, and at a particular point of time, this reversible cell injury turns to irreversible cell injury. That is, at a particular, when you are applying stress or to the cell, consider this as a cell. When you are applying stress, reversible. At a particular point of time, this reversible cell injury suddenly becomes irreversible cell injury. The reversible at a particular point of time, the cell injury can't be reversed back to its original state. That time, that point is called the point of no return. What is the point of no return? The point of no return is a particular point at which the cell injury can't be reversed back. So, what do you mean by that? Here I am applying stress, cell adaptation. Here I am applying stress, reversible cell injury. Now, in this part, if I am removing the stress, the cell can go back to its original size and shape, to its original structure, right? The cell, when I am applying, here the cell undergoes cell adaptation. Here if I am removing stress, the cell can go back to its normal structure. In here, cell adaptation, the stress continue, reversible cell injury. If I am going to remove the stress in this part, then also the cell can undergo its normal structure, right? When I am removing the stress, what? The cell can undergo its normal structure, right? The cell can revert back to its original structure. But at this point of no return, it is a point at which the cell, even after removing the stress, the cell can't attain its normal structure. Even after removing the stress, the cell can't attain its normal structure. That is called the point of no return. I guess you all understood the concept. What is the point of no return? Once again, when a cell is under stress, it will be undergoing a process of cell adaptation. When again the stress continue, that is called reversible cell injury. Again the stress continue, it causes irreversible cell injury. The point at which the cell injury can't be reverted back or reversed, or it is the point at which the cell, even after removing the stress, the cell can't attain its normal structure. That point is called point of no return. So point of no return is a place where reversible cell injury stops, and it is a place where irreversible cell injury starts. I think this concept is very clear for you, right? So you can draw this or take down the notes. I have to say one more thing. This irreversible cell injury. Irreversible cell injury. It is also called by the name cell death. It is also called as cell death. Irreversible cell injury is also called cell death, which is of two types, that is apoptosis and necrosis. So irreversible cell injury is also called cell death, which is of two types, apoptosis and necrosis. So now this line is given in your Robbins, that is cell adaptation. Cell adaptation. Cell adaptation. Cell adaptation. Reversible cell injury. Reversible cell injury. Irreversible cell injury. Cell adaptation, reversible cell injury and irreversible cell injury, which may progress to what? Cell death. Irreversible cell, like I can say one more concept here. Irreversible cell injury is also called cell death. Right? That is how I told you. It is also said in some editions that irreversible cell injury progress to cell death. That way also we can say irreversible cell injury will be progressing to cell death. Actually, cell death is a type of what? Irreversible cell injury only. So irreversible cell injury will progress to cell death, or irreversible cell injury is also called cell death. Both the ways we can say. Now, irreversible cell injury which may progress to what? Cell death. Or irreversible cell injury is also called cell death. So, cell adaptation, reversible cell injury, irreversible cell injury, cell death. These are progressive. These are progressive impairment. These are progressive impairment to the normal structure and function. Normal structure and function of cell. So, cell adaptation, reversible cell injury, irreversible cell injury and cell death, these are progressive irreversible cell injury and cell death, these are progressive impairment to normal structure and function of cell, right? Write down this also, it's a very important point. So with that, I come to the conclusion of my class today. That is, what all things we studied. We studied about the cell, the definition of the cell. We studied about the types of cell. We studied about a quick overview of the chapter. What all things we are going to discuss in this chapter. And last but not the least, we have studied about a very small point given in the Robbins also. So this all concept you understood. I guess you all understood the concept. And if there is any doubt, you can please mention in your comment section below, and then please like, subscribe and share this video maximum to your friends. And thank you so much for taking your time listening me and taking down the notes also. Thank you so much. We'll see you in the next video.